Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, DC Comics podcast from Mild Fuzz. This is a bonus episode. This is a one-shot. This will be a shorter episode. It's just they had a panel at the Dallas Fan Expo about the next DC event that's coming out. Scott Snyder was there, Didio, Jim Lee, Greg Capullo. We're going to talk about it.
Wait,
And
this
Peter.
wasn't WonderCon?
No.
No, did you
Oh,
not see
crap.
the big boards behind them that all
I
said
was not paying attention. I was listening while I was cleaning the house. So it
It's
was
'cause
more
it
like a
was WonderCon.
podcast.
it was
to me.
WonderCon last year?
Okay.
Because
well,
because the audience know they can trust us when we open with, wait, this wasn't WonderCon?
oh. I jumped in late. I jumped in 5 minutes late. So
What
it's
year
fine.
is it? What's going on?
2015.
Oh dear. So I'm Peter. Matt's here,
Eh.
and Connor's here.
Yeah, I'm more enthusiastic than Matt.
He is. This should be an interesting talk. I don't know how long
You're
this.
too dumb to know better.
I don't know how long this is going to go. Probably about half an hour, something like that, if that. So they basically just came together, announced the new book, what the title was, when it's coming out, and that was kind of, there wasn't a whole lot of information beyond that. Most of what we heard about was just kind of elaborating on stuff we already knew about, that kind of thing.
Got some general ideas of maybe what we can expect.
To an extent,
I mean, there was just little bits here and there that kind of give you some direction.
Yeah, it was mostly reading between the lines stuff though, because I feel like we knew it was going to be Batman focused. We'd already heard the word metal a while ago.
Yes.
We knew it was going to be Snyder and Capullo. We'd already heard Hawkman before this, so we knew Nth Metal was probably going to play a role. Like there was a lot of things that we'd already.
Yeah, but we all thought the metal was just a placeholder. Little did we know it was more descriptive.
Yeah. But before it was Batman metal, and now it's something else.
Because I think originally I thought it was just a placeholder until we heard Dark Days, The Forge, and Dark Days, The Casting, and I thought, alright, it probably is going to be metal in the title then. If they're getting casting in The Forge, they're totally.
But not the main thing. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Not that it's not a complaint, but I just thought, like,
So.
so we're going with this as the working title.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is the real title.
So it's called Dark Knight's Metal, and that's Knight with an N, not a K. Well, there's an N in both, but you know what I mean. There's no silent K. Which I feel like you have to specify here because it's Batman related, so we have to.
You
talk-
do.
Because in my
and
brain, it's still Dark Knight with the K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
This
he's
is
Dark Knight.
Night to be the companion piece to the Dark Days.
Yes. It's going to be starting in August. They said monthly, which is honestly probably the biggest surprise for me. This whole thing was him dropping the word
Well,
monthly.
I think that's just
Because
because they want to keep Capullo around for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been
Because
enjoying it.
Capullo works fast, but not
Yeah.
double shipping
I've,
fast.
I've been enjoying like the events being weekly and like 1 month, get it done, like feels like a big thing. So having a drawn out event over 5-6 months, whatever it's going to be, is going to feel a bit weird.
I get
Kevin?
that. I do think the last event suffered a little bit from the artists that rotated through because it was one per issue.
Well, that's the argument, isn't it? That's the one thing you can't have if you're going quickly.
Exactly, and Capullo, he is a workhorse. Like if you
Yes, he
see
is.
how much he does, is ridiculous. But if it's monthly, just to keep him around, it's worth it for me.
And it's good that Snyder said that the script's done. So that means he's been working on it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the big thing for me, this is no surprise, and if you've been, been watching the podcast, listening to the podcast, like, I've not been enjoying All Star Batman. Neither has Matt, but I'm maybe more
I
notable.
have, but I'm the only one
Again,
who seems to like it.
Yeah,
Not smart enough to know better.
but I think I'm maybe more notable of the two of us just because I like Batman a lot, and I don't
Yeah.
like it. So my concern getting into this really is only that I've just not been enjoying Snyder's writing for a couple of years. But I'm hoping that since this is affecting the rest of the DCU, which he specifically they said all the characters coming in, Hawkman's going to be a big part, all the Justice League players are going to be there. It's going to start with Batman discovering something weird. He specifically said something
The
from the
world's
last.
first mystery.
Yeah,
No. It was the first mystery that Batman has that he doesn't want to find out the answer because he's scared of what he might find.
That's not what I was getting to. I was getting to. He said
Oh.
that it was something over the last 6 or 7 years, and then it's going to like open all these doors and like spiral into what Tom King's been doing in Batman, what been going on in Wonder Woman, which makes me think it is going to connect in some way to the Rebirth stuff. It feels like it's going to, like he's going to discover a core thing that doesn't add up,
Well,
and it's going to.
we never really got the end of the Dionysium, right? And that whole
Yeah.
ploy. Because he recreated Crazy Quilt in his final run there. You know,
Yeah.
or was that in Endgame? Or was that Super Heavy? I think it was Endgame with Crazy Hulk.
I
Anyways,
can't remember.
But
Yeah.
you're right, and he spent a lot of this talking about the periodic table and elements. So
Yeah.
so I'm
This
sure
is
it ties back into that.
this is the part where I wasn't so hyped listening to this, because I think you've probably heard me speak before that I didn't like the last half of his run. That was where it went a bit too crazy for me. So hearing him say things like, "Oh, we're going balls to the walls and we're going power chords," and I'm like, no, I kind of liked you writing Batman when it was smaller. I didn't like when it got big.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it was more personal.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
Bruce.
I think, like he says, this starts out as a Batman story, but then it escalates into the wider universe.
Well, that's
So it
why
kinda-
I'm kind of hopeful, because I know he worked on it with Johns. He got Johns to like help plot it out and make sure it fit what a DC event should be.
Which
Yeah.
I like that's Snyder going. I've never written anything this big. Let me get help with a guy that knows how to write big things.
And
know your limits.
And he even mentions, we're all close right now. I've been working with Tom. I've been working with everyone who's been working on all these books. And they've been collaborating a lot more, and that's been pretty evident since Rebirth started. Everything feels very synced and connected with each other. So whatever they are going to do, I'm sure, even if I don't enjoy the core story that much, because it is too wacky or whatever, at least it should lead to good things all over the place. They never specifically mentioned tie-ins. If there will be tie-ins, I expect there'll be some of some kind. He did at one point say, when he was working with other writers, like when they're involved, they'll get to write their characters in their way with their voice, which does imply there will be tie-in elements at some point.
And obviously, with he said how spanning it is all the way to the source wall and then back to Gotham, and he mentioned that was a phrase. So with it encompassing just so much of the DC universe, pretty much anything kind of seems open for a tie-in.
That's literally the DC universe from Earth Prime to the source wall.
Because he name dropped Star City, he name dropped Oa, he name dropped Mr. Terrific. There was a lot of just peppered things. It was like, this is going to be in it, this is going to be in it, and there's going to be this. And
I wonder, Mr. Terrific's really only been in Earth 2 Society for the last couple of years. Well, Earth 2 and Earth 2 Society, so I wonder if he's going to throw him in there, and then that's a tie to Justice Society. And this is going to be a big, huge stepping stone for what's next.
But you think if we're going to get Mr. Terrific, it'll be the Earth 2 one?
Well, no, but that's
the only version we've had recently.
That's the only version we've had since 1952.
But I'm thinking, though, he did say characters would be coming back, like unexpected characters in unexpected ways.
Yeah.
That was his lines.
But that's what I'm saying is if it's a whole DC event, not just Batman, then it's going to, I think, play like, not that it's Act 2 in Rebirth, but it starts to head towards that way, and we start dropping more breadcrumbs. That's why he'd have to go to John's.
I think we'll be an Act 2. I feel like the button's probably going to be the end of Act 1. That's kind of how I feel right now. So I'm obviously I'm a DC fan, so I'm excited for the ramifications of it, where it's going to lead to in the DC universe and all the rest of it. My only worry is that Snyder's stuff recently has not been to my liking, so him doing wacky stuff, as much as exciting as the words dinosaurs and lasers sound.
Cool. That's what we say. It's not a dark Gotham-based story. It takes you all over the DC universe with dinosaurs and lasers.
That was very interesting. He felt very, very very specifically, repeatedly, over a couple of minutes, said it's called Dark Days and Dark Nights because dark is relevant to the plot. It's dark matter, dark energy, and that sort of stuff. It felt like he was going out of his way to say it's not because it's dark in tone. It was almost like, it's not like Zack Snyder stuff. I'm a different Snyder.
Like, this can be fun. Is kind of how he was saying.
Yeah. Well, he usually plays in that dark stuff. Like his whole Batman run.
He does, which is probably why he feels the need to say it, because it's just what we expect from him.
If this is the next logical step he wants to take, because his Dick Grayson stuff was pretty light and fun. So if this is him edging towards that, then
I think me and you have different interpretations of light and fun after reading Black Mirror.
Yeah, everything I remember about that story was like really dark, brooding, like serial killer stuff.
Absolutely horrific.
But at the same time, Dick Grayson wasn't, he didn't
sure.
it up.
Dick Grayson was fun, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, but the plot was
that
dark.
story was not.
Yeah. But no, because he even talks about how at the end of a DC event, it should feel like a celebration of the universe, and it should feel like a celebration of all the characters. These are things I like to hear. These are all things that make me excited for it. I just can't be over the moon for it because I have been feeling a little bit down on Snyder recently. But honestly, if I'm going to make a complaint about this stream, is that I was hoping that there'd maybe some like, oh, here's some Wave 3 books getting announced because they're going to spin out of this. We didn't get that. In fact, we didn't get anything. This was literally title. This is what happens. Now we're just going to sit and chat about our
Do you know what
inspirations.
the thing that most notably for me that we didn't get? The amount of issues. We have no idea how long the story is.
I mean, I said 5 or 6
technically,
because
it starts in June with the prologue issues, right?
Yeah. But the June and July are the prologue issues, then the story starts in August.
It was funny because I said in the Facebook sort of group, while they were still talking, I said, "Oh, I mean, I mean, one of the things I don't like about Snyder recently is that he has to go too big with things, and he goes too big, and then like 2 minutes later on the stream, he said, "Oh, I took it to Dan and Jim, and they said, oh, this is too big. You need some prequel issues." And I'm like, God damn it, Dan Diddy was agreeing with me here. Stop it.
Yeah. So I just counted up that usually DC events are 7 issues long.
7 to 9-ish.
So if it starts in August with that issue as issue 1 and it goes 7 issues, that puts us at about March, which is almost like the 2nd anniversary of the announcement of Rebirth.
Yeah, I can see it. Although I could see it only being 5 though, because you've got the 2 prequel issues.
Yeah, and if that's the case, that
that.
puts it at January.
Yeah. Which is fine. I think my only problem at that point is stop calling it a summer event. It's more of a fall event.
To be fair, did they actually call it summer event in this?
Yes.
Oh, did they?
Repeatedly, in fact.
I must have realised here event.
Yeah, Snyder said that a couple of times.
Yeah. I mean,
so there was something Jim Lee was talking about was different time periods.
Yeah.
Talk about seeing the past and the future, and he talked about different artists and different styles on these different things. So I don't know if that's just in the prelude issues. Maybe.
Yeah.
He talked about how they were matching different artists to different styles with different time periods.
Because there's 3 artists on the prelude issues, I think.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe that's just for those issues, but
well,
I'm interested.
If you're introducing Hawkman, you have to do the whole. Because he said he's going back to John's Hawkman, so I kind of feel that's what the whole Death of Hawkman mini was, putting aside the Thanagar Hawkman.
Yeah, it was wrapping that up. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're gonna get the return of the Egyptian reincarnation version, and if that's the case, that makes sense.
It really makes me laugh that there's these 2 different versions of Hawkman, and they literally just keep rotating. Like, they keep deciding, they keep changing their minds. Like, no, let's go with the reincarnation. No, let's go with the alien from Thanagar. No, let's go for the reincarnation.
That's what I love most about this. When it came to Rebirth, they could have just gone, right, we're just going to pick which one it is. We don't need to do anything, whatever we want, because this is Rebirth. This is the whole point of this. We do what we want here and set things back on track. But they actually went out of their way to do a mini going, no, this one's the Thanagar one, and now we're going to have the Egyptian one. And it's like...
Well, that means that's the return of Carter Hall, which that's cool, right?
Yeah.
We got Qatar Hole, so. Yeah. But again, I'm just looking at if we're gonna time frames and we're dealing with the nth metal, that's what makes the most logical sense.
Maybe, like I said, I was sort of alluding to this at the start, but I can see it because it is. I feel like it's going to be Rebirth related because he's talking about the last 6-7 years. He's talking about this early mystery and discovering something and all the rest of it. I feel like in Forging, to me, because as much as he's talking about metal and not talking about nth metal, I'm wondering if it's going to somehow be a metaphor for forging the world and forging because obviously I don't know where we're going to be at the end of the button in terms of what Batman knows, in terms of what the characters know about what went on with Flashpoint and New 52 and all the rest of it and Manhattan, but I feel like this will in some way relate to it, and it'll be about unraveling more of that mystery. I'm thinking. I mean, I don't know, but I'm getting senses of that.
With Capullo and his style, and then it's called metal, I'm gonna have to make up a metal playlist to read this too. So I'll be enlisting Connor's help.
No problem.
I have no doubts that there is a Batman dedicated death metal band somewhere who does the Batman related songs that you could probably listen to. Because there's an Arnold Schwarzenegger one. There's a Austrian Death Machine is a metal band who all of the songs are quotes from Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah.
But I've listened to it once or
doesn't
twice. It does. But no, I'm just saying, that's what Capullo kept edging towards, is how he wanted to make it feel metal and not just, the material. Like, what does it mean to be metal and to be forged and that type of stuff too. I like that. I like him bringing that aspect to it.
Not to bring a whole other thing in here and another publisher, but some of the controversy that's been going on this past weekend about from Marvel, there was a whole thing about they're talking about how diversity doesn't sell books, and that feels like it's misconstrued. They're blaming the wrong reasons
deaf.
and so on. Yeah, it's tone deaf. But there was a whole bunch of things that came out of all that Marvel stuff, and one of them was, we're not really trying to elevate writers to superstar status anymore because they don't sell books. The specific phrase,
artists.
What did I say, writer?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I meant artist. The specific phrase they used at one point was they don't move the needle for us. And I've been noticing a lot of like various people on Twitter, like writers and artists, like talking about. I think Scott Snyder actually tweeted out something about Capullo moving the needle at one point without stating specifically what he was talking about.
Yeah. Even the ones that work at Marvel, you have to say like there's certain books that I've read only because of the artists, because I like their art. So it just seems like they're talking out their butts there because they have no other excuses. But the reason they don't want to talk about launching and canceling series of books after 5 is a problem. We're going to make it about artists don't move the needles.
That's actually a thing that also came of it. They said they were talking about how limited series don't sell if you call it a limited series, which is why they always do it's an ongoing and then cancel it after 6 or 12 because it was always designed as a limited, like we all suspected. But they refused to call it.
But then you have DC going out like, no, we're doing events, we're doing miniseries. It's almost they're doing whatever the opposite Marvel's doing, and it's working to their benefit.
Yeah, and it's something that I noticed in this panel. They were almost letting Capullo talk more than Scott.
Well, that was the reason I was bringing it up. That's what I was getting at, is that it felt like he had so much time to talk about, and there was times when Scott was saying, "Oh, you do so much to the book, you elevate it, you do this." And it felt like the whole time it was celebrating him as much as Scott. I mean, Scott got to speak first, of course, because the writing kind of comes first. That's just kind of natural.
Yeah.
But
they are a team. It's not writer artist. I mean, I would almost like to see them do the storyteller thing that Wade and Somni used to do, because at this point they've worked together for so long, they know each other so well.
Matt, explain what you mean by that. Explain for people who don't know what you mean.
So when Mark Waid and Chris Somni were working on Daredevil at Marvel, instead of having writer artist, they would put them both together as storyteller. So it's a storyteller's Mark Waid, Chris Somni, because
we have been getting that over here though, because obviously Tomasi and Gleason have been getting that credit on Superman.
Yeah, but that's usually when Gleason when they're together. Gleason still gets credit as story.
Yeah,
but he's not writing or drawing everything. But yeah, so it's when a team works together that well that you can just say yes, they're the storytellers. Snyder brings as much to the art as, even though he's not drawing it, as Capullo brings to the story, even though he's not writing it. There's a yin and yang kind of where they become each other. And I like which. Go ahead, Connor.
I was going to say Capullo touched on that as well, because he talked about how his style is influenced by what he's drawing. Like he said, he'll keep Batman the same because, like I said, he draws a good Batman and people like that. But the rest of it is coming from what he's seen in the script determines his overall style of the book. Yeah,
because he said when he was writing Spawn, he was writing much more detailed. Yeah. But when it comes to Batman, it doesn't need to be that detailed because there's stuff in the story and in the dialogue that's there that he doesn't have to put on the page necessarily. And again, if you've ever heard either of Scott Snyder or Greg Capullo talk separately, they talk about at the beginning how they didn't get along. Is Snyder's like, well, he's not going to adapt my story very well, and Capullo's like, he's covering up my pages with words. And after about I think it was 2-3 months of working together, they finally hugged it out and started to work symbiotically almost. That's what I meant to say, not yin and yang, but there's a symbiosis going on. And
so I know he used to say Scott always used to overscript for him, and he hated it.
Yeah.
I do like the idea that Capullo's going to be calling him on his shit, though. Like, too many words, Scott. Calm it down.
Yeah.
Less words on this page, please.
Well, and if you've noticed, he would give him 1 or 2 issues, a story arc where he could do that. Because if you go back and look at some of the last parts of Zero Year where it got really wordy, there's not much going on with the arts. They're very bare. Where in the panels, I didn't mean to say arts. It's just a dumb word. In the panels. where he knew that Scott needed to lay all this stuff out. So they're a fun dynamic, and the fact that both of them are doing it and that Johns has helped lay the foundation makes me more excited than I was before the announcement.
Just to go back to the point that we were talking about in general there of them celebrating artists, I think especially here it is a big deal for Capullo because Snyder's not left. You've been able to get him the entire time since their run together ended. But this is the first time Capullo is back at DC, so it is his show almost here. He's the one that you're coming for specifically. Yeah.
I mean, I'd argue you're coming for the team because I don't necessarily know if this was Tinian in Capullo, I would be as excited.
As we
this
learned,
is a known quantity.
Well, I'd probably be more excited for Tinian at this point, although we learned today apparently we're pronouncing Tinian wrong. It's apparently Tynion.
I think it's
so I missed that part of the Tynion.
But Snyder said it so quick, it's still like Tynion.
Yeah, I think it's Tynion.
We'll just call him James IV from now on.
Alright, James IV. Let's just call him the fourth. Like, just the fourth. I mean, how many comic writers do we talk about who are the fourth?
None.
That's a pretty cool title as well in itself.
It is.
You go, we're just talking about the fourth.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that they're a known quantity. That's what gets me on. The same with Tomasi and Gleason. Like, I've been following them since the Green Lantern Corps days, and I'll read just about anything they work on together. Now I kind of feel the same with Snyder and Capullo, although Snyder's kind of bit me with his last half of his New 52 Batman run. So, not that it was necessarily bad, I just wasn't enjoying it as the front half. Whew.
Yeah. So that was kind of all the information. One interesting point I do want to touch on is that Capullo was talking about how it does open all these doors and it'll make you all get creative yourself and think about all the possibilities we could do afterwards. And then Scott, he said it'll make you all be creative and writers because you'll all be thinking up the new ideas, which Snyder dropped a little joke there where he's like, no, become artists, don't take my job.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, that's presupposing that we don't already do that.
Yeah.
But based off of stuff.
What I think is interesting about that statement, though, is that, again, it's just talking about, like, what state is the universe in at the end of the story? Is like, is this how they open the doors again to, we can have the JSA back, we can have the Legion back, we can have, is that...
Multiverse.
Yeah. Do we get to the end of the story and that's where we go, we can have all of these things because it's opened the door for that.
And you look at something like the Flash TV show, once they opened up the multiverse, it did add this whole new layer and what you can do with characters, and you have Tom Cavanaugh playing 4 versions of the same guy, and imagine that in like comics, like that's always why I like DC, is you had so many versions of different characters you can play with,
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think ultimately that is why I'm excited about this, more than just Snyder and Capullo reteaming, because that's something in itself. But like you say, it's where we'll be at the end of this. What does this leave us to have next?
Can I just say I'm amazed we're like 20 plus minutes into discussing this. There's been not one anti-Bat sentiment coming from Matt.
Because I told you this before. That wasn't my stance. We had talked earlier that maybe this isn't
just for context.
Thing.
Just for context, when we were watching this live and Matt started commenting afterwards, there was like one sentence where he mentioned about I wish it wasn't Batman focused, and it set us down a path of talking about his Batman bias, and I was just expecting.
And for the
a rant,
record, I wasn't being. I just said we talked about what it could be and what I would be excited for, and that was a Capullo Snyder Justice League event.
I think it will kind of be that. I think it's just going to happen.
Well, yeah.
It's going to start with Batman, and then we'll see.
When I had made that statement, it was just they were focusing on Batman. So it's before they started focusing on Justice League and whatnot.
Because Capullo actually talked about how when he came over to DC and doing Batman, he didn't really want to draw all the teams because he'd done that at Marvel. He just wanted to do Batman, and then over the course he had to do extra stuff in like Endgame. He had the Justice League, but in this he's got to do pretty much everything. So I think it's going to be a lot more than just Batman.
I loved his Justice League in those issues of Endgame. His Superman looks great. Like there's not too many artists that can do such a distinctive Superman because it's such an iconic. But the Capullo's when you look at it, and I met him. He was at a con here last year, and he was getting ready to leave, and I just ran up to him and said, "Hey, I appreciate your Superman. I know you're a Batman dude, but as a Superman fan, I really enjoy it. And he thanked me and shook my hand and goes, I'm glad you noticed because I worked really hard on that.
Was he wearing sunglasses?
Yes.
Just checking.
Yes. He wears them in and wears them out when he's at the table they're not on.
I'm pretty sure he has weights under his table, just so he can just sit there pumping iron while he's talking to the fans. Because that dude never
and he sends his wife to go get him stuff, so he sits most of the time. I know he's got leg weights going.
Yeah, he definitely does.
You know, but yeah, he's such a gruff guy, but he's probably one of the nicest creators I've ever met. Just with how gracious he is with his time, and he gets 2-hour plus lines, but he still tries to make moments. And you just look at him, and he's this big, buff, bald biker-looking guy.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't meet up, but you know, it makes sense that at Marvel he did all those big, huge books, and he just wants to focus on Bruce Wayne and Alfred and them, you know. But yeah, his Hawkman is gonna look dope. I already know that.
Yeah.
And this time when he draws Superman, it won't have that stupid collar, so that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be the Reburn.
The proper Superman.
Yeah, I hate that collar with goddamn passion.
Yeah, well, because it was dumb. You don't need it.
That collar.
You want to see
all the stupid chin guards as well. That was the other thing I hated from the New 52. Fucking Batman with a chin guard.
You want to see Superman's traps. The dude's yoked.
Yeah, you do.
And I feel like Capullo especially is like, no, I want to show this dude being hench.
Yeah. Well, because with Batman, you have to cover him up. Like, that's his thing.
Yeah.
He's not invulnerable. He needs to be protected everywhere as possible. So even adding an extra, collar if you needed to on the Batman suit, I get more than, hey, let's give Superman Kryptonian battle armor. It's like, Lee. And that was all Jim Lee, man. That's him just overcomplicating things because he likes to draw lines.
He does like to draw lines.
He does. Look at
Jim Lee's like signature thing is cross hatching.
Which ironically is the very thing that makes him late on every book he's done because he draws too many lines.
Although, have you ever seen him sit down and do a quick sketch?
No.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Is it? Oh.
It is because he doesn't have time to do all those lines, so it looks super clean and crisp. Yeah. And you're just like, you just drew Harley Quinn in 2 minutes.
Have you seen the one he does when he goes on flights and stuff? And he just does. He just spends. He goes however long this flight is. I'm spending that time on this drawing, and just gets the end result. It's always great.
Cool.
Joe has a lot of cross hatching as well. Romita Jr. has a lot of cross hatching.
Yeah,
I think that they're in that generation, and I think Capullo's at the tail end of that generation, so that's what makes his art stand out.
Yeah,
because it doesn't do that. Like, it's very clean and it's got the hard lines and whatnot.
I don't mean cross hatching so much. Romita Jr.'s problem for me is more his weird faces that bug me.
Yeah, his faces are definitely his weakness.
The nose. That when they announced him in John's on Superman and Superman looked like a Neanderthal, they're just like, what is going on with that?
But he does great action.
Yes, he does. He's a good storyteller.
He does good. Yeah, he does do the action layout specifically.
Yeah.
It's the way it moves that I like more than
it's just so kinetic, isn't it?
The actual drawings are like, they're fine, but it's the way it moves from panel to panel.
I've never dropped a book because of Romita Jr. No,
but you'd never buy one either.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was going to say. I've never went out of the way to buy it because of Romita Jr. So, but I think we're all pretty positive on this. Even me, who known for his bias.
I think reserved optimism is the. Maybe cause a bit more than that, but I think for me,
I'm actively excited. But
it's so weird though, because on the regular episode we talked about the Batgirl movie news, and Connor was the cynical, I can't get excited, and here for comics he's the complete opposite. It's whiplash inducing.
What can I say? I haven't had the same problems with Snyder that you guys have had that really drag it down for me. So
I guess that is problems with Snyder would define us three, but they're different Snyders.
I don't get me wrong. I will take Scott Snyder over Zack Snyder any day of the week. That's not mince words.
They're not even in the same boat, are they?
No. I mean, you could argue one's in a submarine. That's how different of a boat they're in.
dear. All right. Well, there you go. I think that about does this discussion. This has been just a little bonus thing we thought we'd do since we had this live stream. We didn't know how long it was going to be. The stream itself, like how much information we were going to get. But it translated into this like sort of half hour.
There was a Q&A that we didn't get to see on the live stream.
Yeah,
so I guess if anything interesting pops up out of that, we'll mention it in the next episode.
It was through Facebook Live.
That was annoying.
Which I did not like. I liked the YouTube setup from last year because it was set up like a traditional TV setup where they could cut away to covers, and here it just seemed like a mess that the director didn't know exactly how to show the art when they were bringing it up.
It wasn't as produced, and I think the only thing is YouTube's better quality. It's designed for this exact thing. Facebook as well, I feel like I had to keep refreshing the page until it popped up, because it basically just pops as a post like 30 seconds before it starts.
Yeah.
There's no... It's just more...
Just before we wrap up, can we just talk about the cover that we got to see?
Oh, sure, yeah. So Batman's got 2 battle axes.
It's kind of cool as shit.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it is. And it's Capullo texting Snyder back going... Yeah, Batman should have 2 battle axes. I'm drawing him with 2. And Snyder's like, oh yeah, definitely, that's right.
Well, specifically, just to be more specific, Snyder says, I want Batman with a battle axe. And then he texts back, I'm drawing him with 2 battle axes. To which Snyder responded with, I love you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the only appropriate response to that, to be fair.
Yes, it is. Yeah. which that excites me. As much as the deep down anti-Batman person that lives within me wants to go, he's not Thor. He doesn't deserve an axe. It is cool. He's stepping out of fire. It's hard not to be like, that's metal.
It's just such a great image more than anything else.
It is.
Because even though I don't think they were, it just gives this impression that the axes were just forged. Like, because it's got all bit metal, you have this feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go. That's Dark Knight's Metal coming in August after the 2 one-shots, which we're getting in June and July. Which obviously we're looking forward to. We'll cover, and we'll see which wacky nonsense we get to there. But we got the button before that. Button starting in a couple of weeks. We got 2 weeks of no events or crossovers to cool down a bit, and then we have the button kicking in, which I'm really looking forward to. So
just thinking about Flashpoint though makes my head hurt, because the whole missing 10 years, Flashpoint shouldn't have happened. But
maybe we'll get some of that answers.
Zoom with his tiny whiny.
Thawne knows, baby. Thawne's back, and he knows.
It gives me a headache, but in a great way. So I trust that the storytellers
Matt, you want a headache? You should go check it. See, I think it's I can't remember what number it was, but it was an episode of Legends of Tomorrow where Thawne's talking about his own timey-wimey stuff in that show.
Yeah.
And we couldn't make sense of how everything worked based on what had happened in the Flash. We actually had to make a diagram with lots of lines, try to explain how we ended up with the current situation.
And that's why he's Professor Zoom, not just Zoom.
We put a lot of effort into that. That episode went up like an hour late. That almost cancelled review because we sat and made a diagram because we wanted to put it in the video.
Of course you did.
It was worth it. Just to wrap up, obviously the audio listeners won't see this, so I want to point out that Connor is wearing a Riddler shirt right now. He's got a big question mark on his chest.
Look, I thought we were going to get some War of Jokes and Riddles stuff, so I thought I'd be appropriate, but they screwed me on that one, and now I just look like a knob. I
just want to point out that a ginger wearing a question mark is just the most perfect image. It's just like, why? It's like they're asking, why? Why do I exist? It's perfect.
That's fair.
Especially for Connor. True. Why does Connor exist?
I do not know. I can't answer that for you. Why do any of us exist?
It's to make me a metal playlist to read this cartoon. That's why.
That is my sole purpose.
Yeah. Oh god! If I ever go back in time, I'm going to go back to Connor's parents when they're younger and give them a stern talking to about their life decisions. Or just go back a little bit early and get his dad. Make sure his dad gets a vasectomy. You'll have to adopt. It's just the only solution for this. You need to adopt.
Yeah, but how do you know that the kid they raised doesn't end up becoming Connor-like and we're having the same conversation?
You saying destiny means that I'm always going to have to put up with this person?
Yeah. Just you know.
Notice how I couldn't think of a good insult, so I just ended with person. Oh, right, okay. Yeah. We are derailing into shenanigans, so let's wrap this up. This has been a bonus one-shot of Comics from the Multiverse. This is not a numbered episode. This will not affect the ongoing numbering. So we're not one step closer to 52. That's still coming when it's coming. So thank you very much for watching and or listening. Let us know what you thought of the news that came from the panel in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. It helps us out a lot if you can do that. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates and podcast updates. Individual Twitters which are on the screen. And for the audio listeners, I'm at Wibble89, Connor's at ConnorRyan94, Matt's at MattofSteel57. Get us on there for shenanigans and whatever else we like to ramble about. Sometimes it's just me lying in bed watching Seinfeld at like middle of the night.
And other times it's just us insulting each other. So pretty much the same as the last 5 minutes you've just had here.
I tend to stay out of this. I really only get, onto the Twitter when someone tags me. So
no. So tag Matt is what he's saying. Tag Matt and make sure he's
if you want, because I forget.
So so thanks for watching, guys. Keep reading comics. Obviously, we'll be back with a regular episode next weekend with all the first week of April's books. But thanks very much for watching. Keep reading comics, and always remember, never get lost in the Speed Force.